Not only the support Liverpool when they were alive, they support Liverpool when they're dead.
But you did an incredible thing. You had a great team, and you broke them up, and you produced another great team, almost without any loss of impetus at all.
Well, I think that talking about the collective play, Barry, just harping back to the early questions, collective play and playing as a team, would that stifle individuals? Now, the answer to this is that all the teams of the 60s, the whole lot of them got capped to play for their countries by playing collectively. All the 1970s team with Stevie Highway and going in, all got capped again by playing collectively. So that was two teams, the 60s team and the 70s team, all got international caps by playing for each other.
So here's the fundamental point then, that because of the method, because of the system, because that was the basic springboard on which everything was built, you could in fact, when you felt a player was past his peak, take him out and replace him without losing that impetus. That was the key thing.
That was right. That was right. The fact that we had it was like if you want to fix your taps, you send for a plumber. If you want to fix your electric, you send for an electrician. We had specialist places for these players. We could bring them in to play in that little area, like Gordon Milne, for instance. So we brought players to play in that area because we gave them a job to do. We didn't complicate them. We gave them something that was basically easy to understand.
Well, that is fundamentally different from teams who have star players.
Right, correct.
And who really only prosper when they have those players. The minute they lose them, they're in trouble.
Well, I want to go to see a game and vet a team and see something. I went over to Madrid to see Notts Forest and Hamburg playing. I didn't want to go, it was a long journey. But I went over, I spent Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday going and coming. I wanted to go to see these teams because it was a European Cup final. And it was played in the Opera House of Football. What a place, oh God. Without Caruso, of course, with no Carusos. So that when I go to see a team, I want to identify them. I want to be able to say, they can play, they've got a system. And that's what Liverpool had, a system that could be identified. And all of the players now, it's a little more fluent now when they change this game with Thompson and them. So it's not easy to identify now as it was at one time. It's a little more easy to identify. But I'm looking for Tommy Docherty's got it. I could tell a Chelsea player, he had a little panache, his control and kicking of the ball. I said, that's a Tommy Docherty player. Tommy Docherty had given them a little bit of style and class. Now I'm looking for my team to be identified, that they know what they're doing, and they all know what each other's doing and what they should be doing. And this is what football's all about. It's really a simple game, but it's difficult to go in to see a team and say, well, I don't know what they're trying to do. And I've done that this season with team, and I've seen one particular team and I don't know what the hell they're trying to do. I can't identify them, what their method is. The method of Liverpool is preparation and adjustment. Now, we talked about the adjustment, I mean, is adjustment for the day. Like the European Cup was an adjustment for the day. Clough adjusted and won the European Cup. So we could adjust in all at Liverpool. So preparation and adjustment for the day is important. But what I'm trying to say is that you can only play the way Notts Forest played if you've got the players. And I think the main player in their setup for that day was John Robertson, who can make a 4-4-2 into 4-3-3 because of his skill and his, coolness and his brain box. He can play. He's one of the best players in the game, John Robertson. So what I was looking for in all the games I go to, Barry, is to be able to identify them and say, now that team knows how to play. And they know what each other should be doing. And when I get the ball, my mate knows where to go. And I want to say, they all know it, they know each other. In other words, they're in speaking terms. They're not total strangers, you understand? I can go see teams that are total strangers. It's Christ, they've never seen each other before. Now this is wrong. I want all these players to say, they're in talking terms, they know what each other's doing. And when the ball goes to a certain area, see, somebody crops up there, he knows all about it. It's unbelievable how simple it is. But I can't see that. And very few teams I can see that in. There's only 3 or 4 teams I can identify.
Well, that's incredible, isn't it? When you consider that you can look at Liverpool, you can look at the success, and yet you can go to numerous football matches and see teams who appear to play without method. Why do these managers not look? Why don't they try to emulate the Liverpool success? Is it because they're looking at players instead of looking at the system?
Well, I think that you can go and watch Liverpool training, you can go and watch them playing, and maybe you don't even pick it up. But you should be able to pick it up. But I do think that there's a number of teams in this country at the moment trying to emulate them, more than ever was before. As last season, Liverpool had a harder season than one before. And maybe they're teams who are setting out to bog them down a little bit. And this may happen again, I don't know. But there's some teams trying to emulate them at the moment, which is a great thing for Liverpool. It's a bit of a boost up for them. There's somebody trying to copy it, put it if you like to, for a different word. I noticed that with 1 or 2 teams. That Liverpool last season had some very hard games. The season before weren't hard games. So that maybe the people are a little bit more aware of them now.
What about Kevin Keegan? When did you first find out about him?
Well, I found out about Kevin Keegan from Andy Beattie, who used to be manager at Huddersfield Town. I was originally with Andy then, I was manager when he left. And he was scouting for another team and he was watching Keegan because he lived at Nottingham. And Scunsup's not very far from Nottingham. And he told me about him, he'd been watching him for 9 months. He talked about him incessantly, and Peter Docherty, who was scouting them for Preston North End, was on about him too, and I thought, Christ, they can't both be wrong. And we concentrated on Keegan. Andy Beattie, incidentally, came to work for me. So it was when he came to work for me that we concentrated on the boy. And it was really and truly down to Andy Beattie. And of course, Preston had offered money for Keegan, as much as they could offer. That was Alan Ball's father. And Peter was raving about him, and Andy was raving about him, so we concentrated on Keegan, and that's how we got him. But Andy had seen him more times than anybody because he lived at Nottingham. And he came here, and of course he started an initial period of training, and he was first in everything. Oh, he was a fantastic little fella. And the training, would just simmer him down. I said, no, you don't train like that, son. It's only the first 2-3 days. They're another example of what we're talking about. Here was a boy here ready to go out and play a game the first day. Wanted to be over the hurdles first. He wanted to be, every race he wanted to be in front. He wanted to be in front of everything. I said, nah, take it easy, son. I said, you're only preparing to train now. You're not started training yet. See, Liverpool had a period of preparation for training. So it was initial training, but they hadn't started. I said, they're only preparing to train. I said, you're only getting ready now. You'll be training later on, son. I said, that's only the shadow boxing you're doing now. So that Keegan in the early season, which was only the preparation for the training period, Liverpool didn't start really training till 3 weeks after they started. So he was first in everything. Oh, he was first in this, he was first in that. And I've never seen such enthusiasm. You could tell that from the start he was out to prove a point. You know, from his humble background and, you know, hard, brought up father miner and all that. And this was the kind of the background I had and all. You know, brought up in the mining village. So Keegan, right from the start, was didn't want to lose. He was a winner. He was a little bit sad sometimes, you know. He always looked a bit, you know, out of place, quiet, you know, sneaking into the corner, and he isn't that kind of boy at all because he's a good speaker. You know, he's blossomed into not only a player, but he can talk and all. I think he'll maybe get one of these jobs in the television. Maybe it'll improve the television and all if he does. So that he'll get a job as an orator of some kind. Maybe the Prime Minister. Who knows?
Yeah.